My boyfriend of 8 years suddenly told me he wanted to open our relationship. I've 28F met my boyfriend 29M many years ago through some friends. He was living in another place, on the other side of the country. We instantly took a liking to each other and became best friends or girlfriends. In the first year of our relationship, it was distant. Both agreed that after I finished my schooling, I would go live with him. I had to leave behind everything. Friends and family, a perfect job offering with an amazing salary with this company I had interned with in previous years, which I loved BTW. I thought he was worth it. So I moved to where he lives, and everything was good. We talked about our future, and both agreed we would get married at 30. We focus on our jobs and ourselves. We fought, but we could never be mad at each other for longer than a few hours. We bought a house with a nice yard, the perfect home for our future together. Last night, while we were eating dinner, my boyfriend told me he wanted to talk about something. I said okay, and we proceeded into the conversation. He started off by saying he loved me and that I'm perfect to him. I thought he was going to propose to me. Instead, he told me that he was polyamorous. He had just realized that, and that he wanted to open our relationship. I asked if I did anything wrong for him wanting to open the relationship, wondering if I didn't satisfy him emotionally and sexually. He said no, and that is just who he is. I told him that I only believed in monogamy. I can't personally see myself with anyone but him. He told me that I was being ignorant when I told him I only wanted him. I backtracked into what I was saying, so I've asked him if he already thought of another woman. That's what he wants instead of me. He tried to deny it, but he said there was a woman he met. She is also poly. They never did anything, and I shouldn't worry about it. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to say, so I finished dinner in silence. That night, I chose to sleep in the guest room. I couldn't bear to look at him. I started thinking of all the things and opportunities I had missed, like my dream job, my friends, the life achievements of my nieces and nephews, and not spending enough time with my mother before she passed away. All of the 8 years I had just gone away left a sour taste in my mouth. I regret the life I had for the past 8 years. Keep thinking about who I would have been and what I would be doing. This morning, he didn't go to work because he said he felt like SHT because I slept separately. So we talked about everything, and I told him that I could not be with someone like him. I didn't want to enter an open relationship. I told him I wanted to leave. He started crying and said he couldn't change who he was. Why would I say that I regret our time together? I told him because he wasted my time, and our future together just disappeared. I told him it would take me time to learn to not love him anymore. I thanked him for the past 8 years together. He said he takes it all back, that he'll stop talking to her, and that he doesn't want our relationship to end. But I can't do that to someone I love. I cannot hold someone back from becoming who they are. If he is poly, I don't care. But it's just not who I am. I've packed all the things that I own. I'm going to move back home, live with a friend, and apply for a job I actually like. I'm sort of embarrassed to admit to family and friends why our relationship ended, because it feels like I wasn't good enough for him. I feel like I wasted my 20s on him. Relevant comments. See ad 9057. I wonder if he is also okay with you seeing other people. OP replied. When I asked him how he would feel if I saw other people and brought other men into our home, he said he wouldn't mind, and that we wouldn't bring the other person into our bedroom, but into the guest room, which felt super icky. Safe Dragonfly 158. Never had the monogamous versus poly talk. OP replied. The only talk we had was about us, marriage, and children. I never had the desire to pursue anyone in 8 years. It was only him. I know what poly is and understand it, but it's not for me. Update. My now ex-boyfriend of 8 years wanted to open our relationship. I thought I would give an update of what happened. It's been well over a month since my ex-boyfriend wanted to open our relationship. I've moved away, and now I have my own place. My new job is much better than my last one. Everything has been good for me. Spending a lot of time with family. When we told our mutual friends and our families why we ended our relationship, they thought it was a SHTTY situation and were on my side. For the house that I've recently purchased with my ex, we decided to put it up for sale and split everything evenly. I haven't talked to him since we broke up, but I've heard he started dating the girl he told me about, which I knew was coming, so I wasn't really surprised. I'm not really in the mood for dating at the moment. I should probably take more time for myself. In the end, I am happy. I've learned a lot, and everything has been good. Second story. I'm going to leave my fiancé for my boyfriend. 6 months ago, my F25 fiancé M28 asked if I would be willing to have an open relationship. I agreed. Everything was okay until like 3 months ago. when he asked if we could switch from open to poly. I agreed again. He started dating a girl from work, and I started dating a guy from my gym. Now this guy, I'm 26, is so different from my fiancé. He takes me on dates every week. He brings me flowers and food to work. He texts me just to say hi. He's sweet and affectionate. My fiancé, however, we've been together for 4 years. He only gets me flowers for my birthday. He's never affectionate. His idea of a date is playing board games or watching The Witcher. They are very different in bed too. With my fiancé, most of the time, sex is a chore. He's fast and rough, and then he goes to watch TV. My boyfriend, however, is very tender. He takes his time, checks if I'm enjoying it, cuddles with me after, and brings me snacks. I was talking to my mom about this, and she asked me which one makes me happier, and I guess it clicked. I like the way my boyfriend treats me, while my fiancé is more of a roommate at this point. After my talk with my mom, I decided to talk to my fiancé as well. I just told him that I wish he would be more affectionate with me. He just shrugged and said he wasn't into chick flicks. So I guess I'm going to break up with my fiancé because I don't want to marry a man who never takes me out, buys me flowers, or holds my hand. I want someone who shows their emotions. I don't know if me and my boyfriend are going to work out since it's still new. But at least now I know I have options. I grew up around men who were emotionally unavailable, and most women in my family were constantly told that men weren't affectionate, so I guess I kind of believed it. My first 2 boyfriends were like this as well. They didn't like showing affection, and my fiancé is the 3rd guy I've been with. It feels good to know not all men are like my mom made me think they were. I'm on my way to have dinner with my fiancé, and I'm going to call the engagement. Relevant comments. Did your boyfriend know about your fiancé? He knew from the start. The breakup is not actually because of the new guy. It's because I don't feel loved and appreciated by my fiancé. And this won't change because that's how he's always been. Even if it doesn't work with my boyfriend, I now know that not all men are emotionally unavailable, like I was always told. I only agreed to open the relationship because of how lonely and unloved I felt. Are you going to stay poly or go back to monogamy? Mono. I only agreed to poly open because my fiancé was unavailable and I felt lonely. Is your boyfriend okay with that? He said he was, but we only had a quick text exchange. We're meeting tomorrow, and we'll talk more about our relationship then. People are rude and criticize her reasons for leaving per Reddit usual. I'm dumping my fiancé because he's absolutely unavailable. I see him 3 hours a day. The only time we talk is when he can't find something. He never takes out. Only buys me flowers for my birthday. He never holds my hand as tightly as he does now. We never cuddle. We last hugged at a funeral 2 years ago. He calls me by my full first name. Not even a nickname. The last time he told me he loved me was when he asked me to marry him a year ago. What's so hard to understand? I don't even know how many times I've said he's emotionally unavailable. That's why I'm leaving him. My boyfriend just showed me that I can find someone who treats me better. Update 1. I was super nervous to have the talk with my fiancé, but apparently at dinner, it wasn't just us. He invited his parents, but didn't tell me. I wanted to have the conversation with him privately, but his mom started talking about the wedding. She had a bunch of flower arrangements, dresses, and venues printed out, and she was going to buy a dress tomorrow. I got overwhelmed and ended up telling them the wedding was off. I tried to be as gentle as I could, but my fiancé freaked out when I gave my reasons that I don't feel loved, and that I want someone who shows their affection, and made a scene, so we were kicked out. He left to go home, like 10 minutes ago. I'm still in the parking lot with his parents. They are trying to call him. I'm going to drive them home, and then I guess I have to get ready for round 2 when I get home. Update 2. We had a huge fight, and he confessed he only wanted to open the relationship because he wanted to sleep with his coworker without being a cheater. And then he wanted a poly relationship because he developed feelings for her. And he called me a B-word for dumping him because I'm a big baby who needs attention. Apparently, I need to grow up because real men don't get emotional. Update 3. My now ex-fiancé called and begged me to come home to talk because he's sorry and he didn't mean what he said. And because real men don't get emotional, he started crying when I said that he could call his girlfriend if he wanted to talk to someone. Update 4. I talked with my boyfriend, and we're going to close the relationship. He was thinking about it for a while, but was afraid to ask, so he was happy when I suggested it. My boyfriend helped me move all my things out of the apartment I shared with my ex. My ex has called and texted me all night, and I blocked him because, honestly, it kind of scared me. My ex's girlfriend came to see me at work. She was worried I ended things because of her. We talked a bit, and I assured her it wasn't because of her. We also talked about my ex's lack of emotion, And she's now reconsidering their relationship because she also wants someone to show their love. And she was thinking he didn't because it was still new. And she thought in time he'd get more comfortable. But after we talked, she wasn't so sure anymore. A lot of people keep saying my boyfriend will turn into my ex. Why? Why do you think that? Do you have magical powers to see the future? And if he does, so what? I should stay in a relationship where I don't feel loved just because my next relationship will not work. Like I said in my post and in the comments, even if it doesn't work, at least now I know I have options. I also had a few people asking if my ex was always like this, or if he changed. He was always like this. Editor's note. OP has deleted her account, so this is now marked as inconclusive. Third story. GF28F asked for an open relationship. I29M want to break up. Basically, what the title says. She was talking about the Will Smith interview, and she wondered how they managed that. I said there are all kinds of people in the world. It's a big world after all. There is no point in worrying about them. Then she said we should have an open relationship, but I said no. I have no interest in that. We argued back and forth until it suddenly dawned on me that I have the perfect solution here. So I told her we should break up and find someone more compatible. She broke down crying and said she should be allowed to list out her fantasies. And my point is that it's a lifestyle choice in which I have no interest. She said it was not a deal breaker for her if it meant breaking up with me. For the record, she has had a much more extensive sexual life than me. She is someone who detaches sex and emotions. While I need to form an emotional bond before sex, I think I am demisexual. Our sexual life is very good, with 4-5 nights a week and plenty of non-sexual physical contact. Anyway, she is treating the matter as closed. She says she proposed, we argued, and I turned it down, so it's done, but I am not convinced. Are we doomed, or can it work? Oh, and we have been dating for a year. Please advise, as I am in two minds here. I agree that she should express her fantasies, even if they remain just that. But this is more than a fantasy, right? Help me out here, folks. Update. So, I had a long heart-to-heart with her. I started by asking if it was a deal breaker for her. She said absolutely not. Then I asked why she was debating it, and she said that she was only trying to win the argument in the moment. She never thought I would actually utter the words break up. That's why she cried, because in her mind we were just having a spirited discussion like we have all the time on topics like coal versus renewable energy, electric cars versus hydrogen cars, vegans versus non-vegans, atheism versus religion versus spiritualism, Tony Stark versus Bruce Wayne, and so on and so forth. It's true, we have a lot of these discussions. It's one of our favorite pastimes. And she said, when you suddenly brought up breakup, I was like, WTF, where did this come from? She also agreed that her crying was a bit immature and childish. But she was so hurt that I even thought about breaking up. But it was definitely not manipulative. And she said I should expect her to cry in future arguments too. Then we discussed the topic of open relationships. And she said that emotional intimacy is more important than physical intimacy. She also said that her deal breaker would be if I had an emotional affair, which she couldn't get past. I asked if she wanted to have sex with someone other than me, and she said only if you agreed. I said, well, in that case, I will feel guilty that I am stopping you from enjoying your life. And she asked, well, should she also feel guilty that we only go to restaurants that have a good vegan venue, because she is vegan and I am not? Am I stopping you from living your life? Or do you do it because you are an adult who makes his own decisions and you love me? So please trust me when I say that I will be perfectly happy having sex with just you as long as you don't neglect my needs, which you do. In fact, I am having the time of my life right now, both physically and emotionally, so if you want to break up, then go ahead, I would rather not. But I am having all my needs met by you, and I plan on being in a relationship with you. I asked, what if we get married and stay together for the next 50 years? Will you be okay with that? She said, well, if we get married and our marriage breaks down for any reason, I can assure you that it won't be because of infidelity. But we should also be secure enough that I tell you, see that guy or girl, I would like to FCK him or her, and you tell me yeah, not happening, I pout. Then we move on, secure in the knowledge that we trust each other enough to not hurt our marriage. Can you trust me now that you know I am capable of having these feelings? If you say yes, then I will trust you. And likewise, I hope you trust me when I say I am perfectly happy not having sex with people outside of our relationship. It was an emotionally charged conversation, and she was hurt by my actions yesterday, but also understood why I had such a strong reaction. So now we are putting it in the same bin where we keep our other arguments, closing the lid, and moving on until we find our next topic. And yes, I love her very much, enough to marry her, and I know she loves, or rather adores me. Thank you to everyone who commented and gave advice. We really appreciate this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I am going to cook something nice for her now, so I will answer you when I have time. Have a nice day, everyone.